At the Sochi Winter Games in 2014, freestyle skier Gus Kenworthy won Olympic silver for his insane tricks, his big jumps, and zany rails. 4 years later in South Korea, Kenworthy not only competed again, but embraced the unofficial role as Olympic flag bearer for the LGBTQ community. And Olympic silver medalist Gus Kenworthy is here with us now. Gus, thank you so much for being here. I want to start with the 2018 Olympic Games. I know you suffered some pretty major injuries. You had a broken thumb, a massive hematoma. How hard was it to get through all of that, both physically and mentally?
Honestly, the biggest issue was just mental. I trained so hard to get there, and I was feeling so good heading into the games. I was kind of like one of the medal favorites, and I had had some success in the qualifying events. And then just 2 days before my event, to take a crash in practice and break my thumb and everything wasn't so much physical as it was just like getting past the mental barrier of knowing that I was gonna have to ski. And then the hip was actually way worse than the thumb. The thumb is like whatever, it was in a brace, but I had this huge bruise. They drained like 140 cc's of blood out of it.
Wow.
And it was super swollen, and I was barely walking around. And I definitely debated with myself whether I should even bother competing. Like what was the more like proud moment, to not compete and say that I got hurt and I'm bummed, or to compete kind of half intensity and not really be able to ski the best that I can.
I remember watching the crash, and the fact that you even got back out there to compete, I think, is a testament to your competitive spirit and drive. Of course, a big moment for you as well. A lot changed in your life. You came out between Olympics in Sochi, Pyeongchang. What changed for you? What changed in your mind that made you decide that was the right time?
I actually wanted to be out in Sochi. I was just honestly too scared, and there was a ton of anti-LGBT legislation in place in Russia. And it was something that kind of got the ball rolling in my head that like maybe this is something I could do. And ultimately I was just too ashamed of myself to do it at that time. And then our event was February 13th. We swept the podium. It was like the second sweep in American history. And they made a huge fuss about it, and it was these 3 young guys, and they were just like, who's your celebrity crush? What's your ideal date? Like, what kind of girl are you into? And I was suddenly like lying in all these interviews and just feeling so ashamed of myself and so guilty. And so I didn't really get to enjoy like the media tour and everything else that we got to do after the medal. Everything that came to us, I think I was kind of feeling like a bunch of guilt around. And it just kind of made me decide that I wanted to come out. So I did that on the cover of ESPN the following year, and getting to compete in Pyeongchang was amazing, and getting to be myself.
Well, I think it was powerful too, and I think you gave a lot of people at home the confidence to live in their own skin and be themselves, and you really served as that. And it was a phenomenal platform for you to do that with as well. All right, I want to touch on something pretty serious and something I really, really respect you for. You made noise during the Olympic Games by exposing the dog farms in Pyeongchang. How does it feel knowing for you that you saved the lives of so many beautiful animals?
I mean, I wish I could take credit for that and say that I saved all those dogs. It was so much because of the work of the Humane Society International, and the HSI does so much for animals around the world, and they basically reached out to me ahead of the games and asked if it was something I'd be interested in like coming on board for, because I had brought dogs back in Sochi and they had helped with that. And so we basically just worked with them, and I went and visited a dog farm the day after I competed, and it was very traumatic. It was like the saddest, most depressing place I'd ever been to, but it really gave me kind of a taste of what exactly happens there and how inhumane it is, and sort of motivated me to want to bring awareness to it and want to bring a dog back from that situation and want to be able to be an advocate for the cause.
Yeah, it's so important to do. As hard as it was for you personally to have to go through that, the awareness you raised for that, I think, was instrumental. Gus Kenworthy, awesome, man. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for
Wish you all the best
Appreciate
professionally, Olympics, Dancing with the Stars, who knows?